Hello, everyone. We should be live right now. Okay. It's only me this time, sadly, but that's fine because all I'm gonna do is read this book. Okay. Backstory is very much necessary. So, recently I have read the 4 Hungarian exclusive Han Solo novels because, again, I've talked about this. I hope more people in the fandom know about these books by now, but in the 90s, when the Star Wars Expanded Universe novels became popular and translated in Hungary, the Hungarian publisher also just commissioned their own original books. And that wasn't like legal at all. And later, when Lucasfilm learned about it, they shut it down. And we got 4 original Han Solo novels out of it, which I have now all read. Not all reviewed yet, but that's coming soon. And they are very fun. I would actually very much recommend those books. They are very enjoyable. They feel like 90s Star Wars books. Highest praise I can give them. I think they are legitimately more fun than many of the Benton novels, to be quite honest. But besides those 4 books, we also got a 5th one, which is insane. Because with the Han Solo books, they don't fit with the Expanded Universe continuity, but if you squint and you really want to, you can fit them in. They are just original adventures happening to Han Solo. This one doesn't work whatsoever, and I find it so fascinating. This is the power of the Jedi. It's the unofficially official Hungarian sequel to Heir to the Force, Heir to the Empire. Sorry, I'm completely fucked up right now. So, Heir to the Empire was translated in Hungary, it came out, and apparently it was so popular, instead of just waiting a year for Dark Force Rising, I guess the publisher just decided, fuck it, we're just gonna write our own sequel. And they sure did. Oh. So, needless to say, Power of the Jedi, this book, that doesn't work at all with anything else. And I find it so fascinating. What did the Hungarian people think? Like the ones who actually bought these brand new Star Wars books. You read Heir to the Empire by Timothy Zahn, and then the publisher, the official publisher, releases Power of the Jedi by Malcolm Webster as the official sequel. And then you read that, and it's, from what I've been told, shit. And then a little bit later, Dark Force Rising and Last Command come out, and it's like, wait, that doesn't make any sense. So, yeah, I would love to hear what people in Hungary thought at the time, because this is just... Let's take a look. There we go. First off, I love all these American names the Hungarians gave the authors. With the Han Solo books, we got Ed Fisher and Dale Avery. Very, very American sounding, very good. With this sequel to Heir to the Empire, the real sequel, if you will, we got Malcolm Webster. Fantastic. This cover is equally amazing. We got a half-reptilian Luke Skywalker. We got... Well, I guess you can recognize Sabayoff here. Leia is also fine. Han looks pretty fucked up. Barely recognizable, I would say. And then I have no idea what this is. And I don't know what happened to C-3PO and Chewbacca. I'm assuming this was AI upscaled and they fucked up the faces, because this is nightmare fuel. If you look at these two close up, it's... Yeah, it's certainly an eye-catching cover. So yeah, I should also say right up front, this is not like a translation that was done with care and passion. This was just thrown into a translator, and this is basically the first draft, but we are not translating great literature here. So it's fine. It's fine. If anything, that makes it even better. 1992, so the same year as Dark Force Rising. Again, I feel sorry for the Hungarian fans who read this shit. It must have been really confusing. Yeah, and see, it's not correctly formatted, so yeah, it looks like shit as well, but... So I haven't actually read this book yet. I kind of wanted to do it on a stream, because I thought, oh, it may be fun, maybe entertaining. I can't believe this book is only 108 pages while being formatted like this, like these spaces between lines. It's like, yeah. So really, this book is like 50 pages if you format it correctly, I guess. Okay, what the fuck happened in Heir to the Empire? Because it has been so long since I read the Thrawn trilogy. I'm trying to remember. I mean, I know. Yes, it's finally real. I mean, I know the basics of what happened with the characters being introduced and stuff, and Thrawn. So let me remember the ending. Is Thrawn trying to steal these ships from the shipyards at Sluis Van, I think? And then it has the cliffhanger with Akbar getting arrested. And both of that, I think, is addressed in this as well. Oh boy. And we just start right in the story. That's nice. Okay. Chapter 1. The YT-1200 freighter ship roared as it penetrated the atmosphere of the planet Treof. Okay. Treof, this is the YT-1200 freighter requesting landing permission, came the pilot's voice. Permission granted for landing pad V5, responded the Treof control officer. The door of the freighter swung open. A figure clad in a grey robe descended the steps. After a quick glance around, the figure strode lightly toward the city center. Neither their face nor their movements betrayed the effort they were making to suppress their disgust. No one could never get used to the nauseating stench of the PX hyperphase gas flow. But the newcomer knew what they wanted. They moved confidently through the narrow streets lined with decaying walls toward the Treof religious center. The locals generally paid little attention to outsiders. They looked down on them, considering them inferior, because their worshipped Foed religion was not accepted on other planets. Is that how the book? I'm completely fucked in the head right now. The robed figure finally reached the main square. They had hoped to blend into the crowd and slip unnoticed into the religious center, but they were mistaken. Among the many small, rotund local dressed in colorful garments, their slim grey figures stood out conspicuously. Besides them, only a few off-world smugglers and traders were present in the square. There was nothing else to be done, so they entrusted themselves to luck. And luck did not fail them. They entered the center without incident. After cautiously surveying their surroundings, they only allowed themselves to breathe heavily with excitement once they were sure no one was paying attention to them. A few minutes later, their strength returned. They gazed with interest at the place they had arrived at. The room was vast, with strange-colored and arranged marble columns. It was only now they noticed the natives praying next to the columns, their heads lifted to the sky, frozen like statues. Their soft murmuring was almost hypnotizing. They didn't know how long they had been drifting on the edge of sleep and wakefulness when suddenly a strange feeling overcame them. They sensed that someone had noticed them. They cautiously slid their hand to their lightsaber and suddenly turned around. A grey figure stepped out from behind a column. As they moved into the light, their Noghri features became recognizable. As they reached the newcomer, the grey being knelt. Malariush, Leia Organa Solo, they whispered, head bowed. I remember this being the title in the Thrawn trilogy. I don't think this is spelled correctly. I mean, it's the same words, but I think there was like apostrophes or something in between. Okay, we got Kabarak. Okay, I'm curious to see where the fuck this is going. Greetings, Kabarak, Leia said. You have arrived right on time for our agreed meeting. I hope you came alone. I would not dare break the agreement made with Lord Vader's daughter, the Noghri replied, still with his head bowed. Stand up, Leia said, placing her hand on the Noghri's shoulder. Kabarak led Leia to a small sanctuary hidden behind the columns. We'll be safe here, he said. No one but the priests would dare set foot in this place. Okay, I remember that from Heir to the Empire. Okay. Leia meeting up with the Noghri, so this is an alternate take on that. Leia simply nodded, indicating her trust in Kabarak. At that moment, she seemed more like a peaceful tourist than a ruler involved in serious political matters. She gazed in awe at the hand-painted, incredibly colorful Fouet frescoes on the ceiling and the strange, mood-invoking statues, which not only constantly changed the colors and shapes, but also their size and material. Sometimes they appeared as monumental marble blocks filling the entire sanctuary, and at other times they resembled delicate, innocently floating glass figures. Leia had never seen such a rich culture in her life. I don't believe that part. And she could not have imagined that any form of art could affect her this way. Kabarak's voice brought her out of the reverie. My princess, Kabarak began, time, unfortunately. Oh, Kabarak, Leia exclaimed, this place is so strange. So, let's get to the point, she said, turning to the Noghri. I bring the Republic's offer of cooperation. As you know, we need to establish a stable defense line for the Republic immediately, and to be frank, we could greatly use your well-trained, loyal people. Our people swore loyalty to Darth Vader, Kabarak said. The Republic, the rebels, stand on the opposite side. How could we trust them? No. He shook his head firmly. We want no dealings with the Republic. Just think about it, Leia urged. The Republic would help your people rise. We could eliminate the barbaric conditions in which your people live. We made an agreement with the Empire, with Lord Vader, and since you are his heir, we will do anything for you, but the Republic. The Empire, Leia interrupted. The Empire is only using your extraordinary combat abilities, but they don't care about the sacrifices you make. The Noghri stood and spread his arms. The motion caused his coat to open, revealing the weapon on his belt. A wave of discomfort passed over Leia, but then she thought of her lightsaber and felt reassured. The Republic wants democracy throughout the entire galaxy, she explained to the Noghri. We know what the Republic's democracy means, he nodded, a bitter expression appearing on his face. Don't you think the Empire might have lied to you? Leia asked. Maybe they didn't want you to know that my brother and I... Your brother, Kabarak exclaimed. Are you saying that Lord Vader also has a son? Leia instantly sensed that her companion was wavering. Now, she told herself, letting the Force flow through her. Victory is within reach. Just grasp it wisely. My brother's name is Luke Skywalker, she said. Maybe you have heard of him, but he is the last Jedi in the galaxy. The Noghri shook his head in confusion. You see, the Empire hides everything from you. Leia looked into his eyes. You should also know that in the final battle, my father sided with us. He chose the right side. Leia felt the rising anger of the Noghri, though she couldn't yet discern who it was directed against. Suddenly, a terrible feeling overtook her. She glanced to the side and froze. 4 heavily armed Noghri warriors leaped into the sanctuary, and before Leia could reach for her lightsaber, they had her surrounded. Okay. The trap had been sprung. The Jedi apprentice surrendered. You let yourself be trapped. Despite all of Luke's teachings about extending the Force and guarding your emotions, she thought bitterly. Why hadn't she taken Solo's advice? She should have never come on this mission without an escort. Forcing herself to remain calm, she stepped forward to face the Noghri. She looked them into the eye fearlessly. If death is near, at least let it be a brave one. She thought of the twins, who might never know the galaxy, never learn how much Han and she and even Luke, who had sensed the Force in them from the start, had longed for their birth. There was a flash, and a blaster shot whizzed past her ear. Kabarak fired on the Noghri warriors. What is this, another trap? There was no time to think. She heard Kabarak's voice. Get to cover, he yelled. Leia dropped low, pulled her lightsaber from her belt, and sprang to her feet, joining the fight at his side. Now she truly felt like a Jedi, even if she was still just a novice. Ooh. No, I mean, this has nothing official about it in regards to like Lucasfilm and stuff. This is what the Hungarian publisher put out before Dark Force Rising was released as the official sequel to Heir to the Empire. And yeah, so far it's going in a pretty different direction. Kabarak fought bravely against his own people, and for a moment it seemed they might break free from the sanctuary, but then, as if emerging from the very ground, more Noghri warriors appeared before them. Leia, however, was in her element now. At first, she deflected the blaster shots cautiously, but soon with near expertise, as the lightsaber blocked each one. Luke had been a good teacher. She even employed an ancient Jedi trick. For a brief moment, she vanished, then reappeared in front of the largest Noghri group, launching herself at them with a terrifying scream before swiftly cutting down the confused grey figures. I'm imagining Palpatine in Revenge of the Sith when he's jumping towards Mace Windu and the other idiots. Yes, but it's fascinating, isn't it? Because at least with the Han Solo books, they got like actual writers, actual Hungarian sci-fi authors, if I'm not mistaken. And I think they even told them, oh yeah, this is a thing, just come up with a story and write it, this is the real deal. I don't know what happened with this one, because clearly this author would have been aware that this is a scam. Yes, and then this was released in the same year as the official sequel, Dark Force Rising, which is even funnier. Okay, but also, I don't want to skip over this part. Leia just fucking used the Force to teleport. That is certainly something. To the exit, Kabarak shouted, motioning toward the door with his blaster. Leia sprinted past the altar and peeked outside. Everything was still outside. The reinforcements must be coming from beneath the sanctuary. How many more could there be? Leia moved carefully, sticking close to the sanctuary wall as she made her way toward a domed prayer room. This time, she didn't marvel at the wonders around her, but quickly assessed the surroundings to ensure she wouldn't be caught off guard again. Kabarak burst through the door. We need to get out of here. It's not safe, he panted. Leia looked at him, alarmed. Are you hurt? Nothing serious, Princess, but there are too many of them. What are we gonna do? And it's not easy fighting my own people. Who are they? What do they want? How did they get here? Leia asked quickly. The Noghri replied with a shameful groan. It's probably a unit under Imperial control. You know, they track your every move. They want me dead, Leia sighed. I can feel it. No, my lady, no, Kabarak protested. They want my head for betraying them. They need you alive. This is likely Rook's doing. He trailed off suddenly. A blaster shot struck the wall near his shoulder. Get behind me and cover me, Leia ordered. She began moving slowly toward the exit, her senses fully attuned to the incoming attacks, deflecting them with precision. She had trained well with Luke, and it showed. Every shot was blocked, and they reached the exit without harm. But outside, the grey-skinned warriors lay in ambush, separating them. Leia started running, then disappeared behind a column after just a few steps. With practiced skill, she threw her lightsaber, which, guided by the Force, cut down the Noghri closest to Kabarak before returning to her hand. Kabarak leaped to her side. Okay, so Leia in this is very powerful already. Wow. We need to reach the main square, he whispered. They ran together toward the exit, but stopped short at the doorway. As far as the eye could see, Noghri equipped with gas weapons and blasters stood guard. They were prisoners. Leia lowered her weapon and signaled Kabarak to do the same. He followed her lead. Leia was reminded of Bimisari when she and Han had stood in a similar position at the marketplace. But back then, Luke had been with them, along with the true strength of the Force. Here there was no help. Kabarak would surely be executed on the spot, and she would be handed over to the Empire. A warrior was already stepping toward her to place her in shackles. Stop, Kabarak shouted, his voice filled with fury. Do not touch her, or the honor of the Noghri will be lost forever. This is Malari Rouge, the daughter of Lord Darth Vader. The enemy Noghri's eyes widened, his mouth trembled, and the cuffs clinked in his hand. Slowly he turned to his comrades and whispered, Malariush, the heir of our lord. The Noghri warriors circled Leia in confusion, then suddenly knelt before her. We must protect Lord Vader and his family above all else, Kabarak said into the silence. The Noghri sprang to their feet and laid their weapons at Leia's feet, leaving her struggling to conceal her shock. Rise, my friends, she requested. There is no need to humble yourselves before me, for I come not as an enemy, but to forge an alliance. The Noghri listened, spellbound. The Republic seeks your help. We need your extraordinary military skills. In exchange, what we offer is peace across the galaxy, safety, and a dignified life. Princess, a man in dark grey robes, stepped forward. We trust you, we must trust you, for we swore loyalty to your father, and that binds us. We are willing to negotiate, but only if you will be present. I can't promise that I will be there, Leia replied with a smile. But my brother Luke Skywalker certainly will be. A stunned murmur rippled through the crowd, growing into a rising cheer. Luke Skywalker, the son of Lord Vader, echoed all around. Long live Luke Skywalker. The Last Jedi, Kabarak interjected. I love this part. Then long live the Jedi, shouted the Noghri. And Princess Leia, who has brought us peace. The dark-robed Noghri raised his hand to quiet the cheering. Enough, he called. When silence fell, he turned to Leia. Princess, we thank you for coming here and clearing up the misunderstandings. If your father were alive, he would not be ashamed of you. You have proven yourself in both combat and diplomacy. We look forward to welcoming your brother to Zartun, the world of the cliffs. Thank you for listening, Leia said simply. I must go now, but we will meet again. Trust in me. Princess, Kabarak approached her. For your safety, I will escort you back to the ship. You honor me, Leia bowed, following Kabarak toward the landing pad. They took a different path this time. The stench was still unbearable, but the road was paved with colorful mosaic stones, and strange oval-shaped houses basked in the sunlight. I can't understand how these warriors got here, Leia pondered aloud as they walked. The Imperials usually follow me, but not with such large forces. They had to know in advance that we would meet here, but how? Who told them? Princess, the Imperial spy network is vast, Kabarak explained, and unfortunately it's especially strong among the Noghri. You've seen for yourself how dutiful my people are. Those who wish to exploit their loyalty can do so easily, and it seems Grand Admiral Thrawn intends to do just that. Rook only does what the Admiral orders. But who is this Rook? Leia asked. Rook leads Thrawn's spy and mercenary network. I don't know him, but if the Noghri say he's the worst trained Noghri beast, then it's true. Rook, a Noghri, Leia was surprised. Okay, I don't get this part. Yes, he's like a living droid, a master of destruction. Another problem, Leia thought. I believe this admiral is gathering all the dark forces of the galaxy around him. We have arrived, Kabarak pointed ahead. The port was bathed in sunlight. Warm currents ran through Leia's body as she thought of home and of Han. Ooh, okay. Chapter 1. Yeah, I mean, that's efficiency, I would say. First chapter? Yeah, problem solved. The Noghri are now on the Republic side, basically, already. Yeah, pretty efficient storytelling. I mean, they have to hurry up. They only have 100 and 8 pages? Oh boy, second chapter, it looks like we're gonna follow Thrawn. That's gonna be a lot of fun. I just want to see how long this chapter is. Oh, it's short. Okay. Well, that's not bad. I don't know how much of this I'm gonna read today, but let's see if it gets even funnier. So far, I can follow what the author is doing. He's resolving plots that were set up in Heir to the Empire. Very quickly and poorly, but he's doing it. Okay. The Chimera Star Destroyer emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the W6 star system. TIE fighters swarmed the surrounding space, leaving no object unseen in their thorough scans. Permission to report, sir. Marco, Captain Pellion's deputy, stood stiffly at attention by the door. Grand Admiral Thrawn slowly turned his burning gaze toward him. I'm listening. Marco swallowed hard. For a moment, he thought he couldn't withstand the intensity of Thrawn's glowing red eyes, but he steeled himself. Admiral, sir, we have arrived in the designated system. The necessary precautions have been taken. Very well, Thrawn nodded. Captain Pellion inquires if you wish to establish communication with the Judicator. Marco asked, gaining confidence. No, Thrawn shook his head. Thank you for your report. Send for Captain Pellion. Yes, sir. Marco saluted and quickly left the command bridge. The Admiral stared at the monitors, deep in thought, so much so that he appeared startled, almost alarmed, when the bridge was suddenly flooded with brilliant blue light. Raiden, the largest planet in the neighboring star systems, bathed in a majestic blue glow, floated past the viewport. Thrawn hissed softly and stepped closer to the window. He could never tire of this planet's sight. Every time it amazed him how his own blue skin would flare in this strange light. Okay. He only turned away from the window when a knock sounded and Captain Pellion entered the bridge. You summoned me, Admiral. Pellion saluted, his expression serious. Take a seat, Thrawn gestured. Or better yet, come to the window and admire this blue behemoth. See how it burns. I see it, Pellion replied, nervously averting his eyes from Thrawn's strange, lightning-charged face. He was taken aback. Thrawn had never before offered him a seat. Thrawn must have sensed something as he left the window with a scowl and seated himself beside his desk. Aren't they on the bridge of the Star Destroyer? He just has a desk there? Sit down already, he barked at Pellion. Did you receive the latest report on the rebels? Yes, sir, Pellion took a deep breath, preparing to deliver his report. Wait, Thrawn interrupted, his attention now fixed on the monitors. TIE fighters darted between the Star Destroyer and the blue planet, while 2 Imperial freighters made their slow, deliberate approach toward the surface. Good, Thrawn nodded with satisfaction, turning back to Pellion. Our spies report chaos among the rebels, Pellion began. Let's not overuse words like chaos, Thrawn cautioned. Well, I mean, it appears certain that 2 key rebel leaders, Counselor Leia and Admiral Akbar, have come into direct conflict, Pellion continued, somewhat uncertain. How serious is it? Thrawn asked, his interest piqued. From our information, it seems Leia orchestrated a coup against the Republic, accusing Admiral Akbar of treason and having him imprisoned. Excellent news, Thrawn exclaimed, leaping to his feet. But let's hope it's true. And what are Leia's next moves? The details are murky, Sir, Pellion admitted. Some say Princess Leia's arrival put an end to the conflict, while others claim Leia fled and has formed a new faction. May I offer my thoughts on the matter, Admiral? Go ahead, Thrawn said, his eyes narrowing. I believe if the rumors about Leia are true, we should support him. He could become a valuable ally in our fight against the Republic, Pellion suggested. An astute observation, Captain, Thrawn agreed. Leia could indeed become a formidable enemy of the Republic. I like where this is going. He began pacing, snapping his fingers and muttering to himself, seemingly forgetting Pellion's presence. The monitors now displayed a TIE fighter performing daring maneuvers between the freighters. Thrawn watched, captivated. Our pilots are improving rapidly, Thrawn said suddenly, turning back to Pelion. We may not need Felia's alliance after all. Pelion remained silent. Or do you think, Captain, that he would join us, submit to the Empire's rule, walk into the council chamber, take a seat, and request to speak? Thrawn pressed, watching Pelion intently. The captain slowly turned to meet Thrawn's gaze, unsure of what response was expected. Think, Captain, Thrawn urged. Alone, he won't get far, and he knows that, Pelion finally said. Felia, Thrawn laughed. Don't you remember the reports about him? He will never ally with us. If he escaped from the Republic, he's probably lurking nearby, waiting for the right moment. Felia is a fanatic. He believes that the common workers will rally to him within days, if not hours. Felia is and always will be anti-Empire, and now anti-Republic as well. Help him. Yes, we could, but we would do so quietly. Thrawn's face hardened, and the fire in his eyes dimmed. We could funnel a few ships his way, he muttered, if only we knew whom he plans to strike first. But we will make sure his choice falls on the Republic. Alone he won't achieve much, Pelion noted. At best he might create a small breach in the Republic's armor. Never underestimate even the smallest breach, Captain, Thrawn warned. Remember what fate awaits us if a breach forms in our own ship. The greatest catastrophes are often caused by unnoticed little cracks. True, Pelion admitted. And once the Republic falls, we can easily remove Felia from the picture. See? Logical thinking answers all questions, Thrawn said approvingly. Sir, should we focus all our forces against the Republic? Are you preparing for the final confrontation? Pelion asked. Not quite. Thrawn smiled mysteriously. First, we must deal with the Jedi. As long as they support the Republic, we cannot claim ultimate victory. I'm not entirely convinced of the Jedi's mystical power, Pelion muttered under his breath. No matter, it's enough that I am, Thrawn responded sharply. Then, in a softer tone, he added, wait until you meet Luke Skywalker face to face. Pelion stood and turned to leave. May I be excused, Admiral? Go ahead, and fear not, this time. What? The time is close when the Empire will control the entire galaxy. Thank you, sir. Pelion bowed and exited. Dowd nodded him. He knew Thrawn was capable of foregoing smaller victories for the sake of the greater goal, but Pelion felt the Admiral was being overly pessimistic this time. Why not reach out to Felia? If he's broken away from the Republic, he must have a clear goal. Could it be that his goal is to join the Empire? Perhaps his conscience had awakened, or he had only just realized he had been working on the wrong side. Why not offer him a hand to ease his transition? As Pelion wrestled with these thoughts, Thrawn paced the room with long strides. Sir, we've received a transmission. Marlowe's voice came through on the communication panel. I'm listening, Marlowe, Thrawn replied, stepping closer to the console. A freighter wishes to speak with you directly. They insist on contacting you. Identification code, Thrawn asked, already pulling up the Imperial Freighter registry on the computer. None, Marlowe replied. Our intel suggests it's a smuggler's ship. Shall I connect you? By all means, Thrawn said. Okay, chapter 2 is done. Oh boy, there's a lot going on in here already. I mean, the translation is readable. It's not the best, obviously. Ooh. Okay, let's see. Okay, we get back to Leia. Let's see how long this chapter is. It's manageable. But I like what this book is setting up, that Felia is forming his own splinter faction. Yeah, I mean, I mean, we will see that with the rest of the book. I'm sure everyone is kind of off in this one. It does kind of turn into Dark Empire at one point, but less good, or even better, depending on how you look at it. Okay. This is chapter 3. The buzzing in the circular council chamber slowly died down, then ceased entirely as Leia Organa Solo took her place at the head of the table. The key leaders of the Republic had already gathered, but the seat of Councillor Borsk Filaya remained conspicuously empty. Admiral Akbar raised his hand to speak. Leia nodded, and Akbar stood up. Wasn't Akbar still imprisoned in Dark Force Rising? Wasn't it the twist at the end of Heir to the Empire that he was, framed and stuff? Yeah, so I guess this book also handles that a bit differently. It's difficult for me to speak, he began in a broken voice, his eyes fixed on Felaya's empty chair. But I cannot remain silent. We made a grave mistake when we treated open conflict as mere disagreement. In the future, we must take the warning signs far more seriously, he said, wiping his sweating brow. Leia watched with concern as his face grew paler, sensing the strength draining from the senior counselor. It will be so, Leia quickly took over. But please sit down, Counselor, and speak from your seat if you wish to continue. We all know what you've been through recently. Akbar sat down, settled into his chair, and continued. This must never happen again, for it could mean the end of the Republic. We must focus all our efforts on the external enemy. The Empire grows stronger by the day. Their spy network spans the entire galaxy. If they continue at this pace, they could wipe us out with a single stroke. Okay, so the Imperial Remnant is apparently also way more powerful here. And the last thing we need is for them to make alliances with hostile, yet supposedly neutral barbarian peoples, added Mon Mothma with concern. We must face the reality, Leia stood up to speak. We are surrounded by enemies, and we cannot forget about Filaya either. I doubt Filaya poses much of a threat to the Republic with the few people who fled with him, someone remarked. Please, someone enlighten me. I remember Heir to the Empire ending differently. Like, Filaya was still... Like, it wasn't known to everyone that Filaya faked the evidence. That was like a whole plot line thing in Dark Force Rising, right? But this one treats it like, oh, everybody knows already that the evidence was faked and Akbar is just back. And Filaya has formed his own Splinter Cell or something. Maybe I should have reread Heir to the Empire before starting this, but, never underestimate your opponent, Han Solo interjected as he entered, having caught the last snippets of the conversation. I've got some very bad news. Leia turned pale. Should I sit down? Yes, but there's no immediate danger, Han reassured her. Leia slowly sank into her chair. Speak, she gestured to Han. I just received word, Han began, that Borsk Filaya's new faction successfully raided the Empire. They have captured a corvette. Impossible, Akbar exclaimed, springing to his feet, his face turning from ashen grey to bright red. How do you describe this when he's a fish? Yeah, that's what I remember. So there was this whole plot apparently off-screen between Heir to the Empire and Power of the Jedi. Fascinating. We all know how difficult it is to seize an Imperial corvette, even with a significant force. They guard those ships like treasures. And a treasure it is, especially in Filaya's hands, pointed out Mon Mothma. That scoundrel will now lie in wait with that monstrosity, and our ships will never be safe again. Filaya knows all our plans, all our secret routes. I like how Expanded Universe fans should love this. This is Filaya just being straight up the enemy to the New Republic. That's awesome. We will remain vigilant, Leia said. What's done is done. Instead, let's be thankful he didn't manage to carry out his full plan. If he had, he wouldn't just have a ship. He might have had... What? He might have an entire planet by now. I'm so confused. What was his plan? What do you mean he would have an entire planet? I do have some good news, Han added. He stepped back to the door and called out. Would you come in? Then turning to the council, he introduced the newcomer. I believe you have all heard of Captain Talon Card. Card entered and bowed to Leia. I'm honored to be received by the princess herself. Welcome to the council, Leia responded politely, though her tone remained measured as she gestured for Card to take a seat at the table. I assume you bring important news. Please share it. I have but an announcement to make, Card said, placing both hands on the table. If the Republic's offer for collaboration, inviting us, the smugglers, to cooperate still stands, then, he paused, looking expectantly at Leia. Leia stood and addressed the council members. Councillors, does our offer still stand? She asked. The council members nodded in agreement. The council agrees, and I vote yes as well. As for Han, I don't need to ask. It was his idea in the first place. So, Captain Card, please continue. You honor me, Princess, Card said with a slight bow before continuing. Then we are prepared to say yes. We are pleased with your decision, Leia smiled, but we would like to hear details as well. I hope we can meet your conditions. I remember this also taking a bit longer in Timothy Zahn's sequels. We ask for full legality of all our operations. In return, we will assist in stabilizing the Republic's economy, Card stated simply. Leia listened intently, her expression unwavering as the smuggler leader spoke. Does anyone have any questions about the proposal, or shall we withdraw to discuss the matter? She asked. I have a comment, Akbar spoke up. I believe we can come to an agreement, but I must add that, given the current situation, our primary need is not for trade, but for military support. Don't worry about that, Han interjected. Few people know this, but smuggler ships are equipped with excellent weapons and engines far more powerful than the standard. We have a saying, appearances deceive, but don't let them deceive you. Card added with a triumphant glance around the council. So we can take that to mean you would be willing to support the Republic with arms if necessary, Leia asked, visibly relieved. We have no choice, Card spread his hands. Things have changed. I can no longer play the role of a neutral trader. The Empire is hunting me. So we skipped all of that Merca shit that was the opening of Dark Force Rising. Nice. Let's see. Because you refused to hand over Luke during the bounty incident. That's a great name, the bounty incident. And even provided soldiers to help rescue him, Han added. I thank you for saving my brother's life and for standing with us when we needed reliable allies, Leia said. There's no need to thank me, Princess, Card bowed. I repeat, I had no other choice. I must destroy the Empire before it destroys me. I don't need every Noghri in the Empire hunting me down. Don't worry about the Noghri, Leia said, her eyes brightening. In a few days, they too will be part of the Republic. We are 16 pages in, and these plot lines are already done with. That is very, very efficient storytelling, if I may say so. Card stared at Leia, astonished. You mean to say, Princess, that the Noghri... Great line. Have you really managed to turn the most fearsome beasts in the galaxy? They've been the Empire's most loyal servants, the bounty hunters. But how? Not by breaking them, Leia replied quickly. We are trying to win them over with fair terms. We want to build a democratic republic where every culture in the galaxy enjoys equal rights. Card suddenly sat down. I can hardly believe it. The intention is admirable, but how did you convince the Noghri to accept? Why, they are not beasts, Leia defended them. True, the Imperial dictatorship turned them into tools, but perhaps it was out of a misguided sense of honor rather than malice. Admiral Akbar stood up and asked Leia, Princess, do you think we need to recess for further discussion, or can we make a decision now? I don't think the outcome of the discussion is in doubt, Admiral, Leia replied. Let's vote right here and now. Councillors, please raise your hand if you accept Captain Card's proposal, she asked, surveying the room. Hands shot into the air. Captain Card, Leia addressed him ceremoniously, we hereby welcome the smugglers as allies of the Republic. Welcome to our ranks. Is this now meaning all of the smugglers or just Card's little crew? Because that's a big difference, which I'm gonna assume this book doesn't know. After the mutual greetings, Admiral Akbar touched Kart's arm. "We can discuss the details outside," he offered. Leia and Han were walking toward their quarters in the former Imperial Palace. Leia was calm and hopeful, eagerly anticipating the quiet moments she could share with her family. In the evenings, when everything was peaceful, she and Han would joyfully watch the twins move and stir within her. It was a wonderful feeling to sense the dormant presence of the Force in them, the power of the Jedi just beginning to bloom. Power of the Jedi? There we go, title. Okay, sorry, I'm stupid again. Are the twins already... Yes, right? Because it wouldn't shock me if the book also gets that wrong, but they are born by... Are they born in Heir to the Empire? Or was that later? I'm really... I'm sorry, it has been very long since, reading the trilogy. Leia, a shout suddenly broke her reverie. "Wait up!" They turned in unison, spotting Luke hurrying toward them. "Good evening. Is everything all right?" he asked. "Everything's fine," they both replied at the same time. "And the Falcon ready for takeoff?" Luke inquired. "Of course," Han replied with a playful salute. "Tomorrow morning at the break of dawn, we'll be soaring through the stars." How's that for poetic? Impressive, Luke chuckled. "Though I wonder, did you actually check the ship, or should I do it myself?" "Naturally, I checked it, Master." Han played the part of the insulted. "That old wreck's in better shape now than it was new, if not better." "That's a bit of an exaggeration," Leia laughed. "But we all know that if you say it's good, I will at least It will at least get off the ground." "Leia, that's treason." Hans stomped his foot playfully, then, without warning, scooped his wife into his arms and carried her into their quarters. Luke followed and knocked on the door. "Who dares disturb the princess at this hour?" Han growled with a grin. "Listen, Leia," Luke called over Han's shoulder. "I'm not as confident about the Noghri as you are. What if this is just another trap, like the ones we've seen before?" "Oh, Luke, don't be so distrustful," Leia said, smiling. "Didn't I explain what happened when they found out Lord Vader had a son too? The Noghri never break their word. That's why they ended up in such a vile role as the galaxy's executioners." Luke laughed, relieved. Leia's confidence reassured him. Then suddenly he felt something strange. A faint emanation of the Force. It wasn't Leia's power. Of course, it was the twins. "Leia!" Luke exclaimed in delight. "They touched me." Oh no. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That the twins are born way later. So this is just something else that just happens off screen. Amazing. Leia smiled proudly. "I taught them how," she said, pulling Han, and the door shut behind her, leaving Luke to ponder the future of the new Jedi. As Han and Leia prepared for bed, Leia spoke. "You see, even Luke sensed the Force in them. Maybe you will believe him now," she said, pretending to be hurt. "I believe you too, Princess," Han reassured her. "I feel their presence more and more. I know I can feel that the Force is strong in them. They'll become Jedi, and that's a good thing. But, Han asked, waiting. "But sometimes I have a bad feeling. It's not about them directly, but somehow they are involved." "Okay, I get it, they are involved. But who else?" Han pressed gently. "You and Luke," Leia admitted. "Han," she pleaded, "you're not going to fight with him, are you? I feel a kind of tension between you." "Between us?" Han laughed loudly. "Luke is my right hand. I could never bear it if anything happened to him." "Not now," Leia mused, "but I sense something dark in the future." "My love, I'm sure once the twins arrive, all your bad feelings will disappear," Han soothed her. Okay, so the twins aren't actually born yet in this. So I guess that was just bad translation or wording before that. Okay. So yeah, I guess the book is still excellent so far. The next morning, the docking bay of the Millennium Falcon bustled with activity. The two droids, R2 and 3PO, were already there, clattering about when Luke arrived at the entrance. Greetings, Master Luke, 3PO called out. Of course, R2 wasn't going to be left out, and he began to beep so loudly that the mechanics thought something was wrong. All right, Luke laughed, brushing off the droid's over-enthusiastic welcome. I'm glad we are setting off too, but calm down before the entire dock comes running. Just as he spoke, a loud roar echoed through the air. Where are you, Chewbacca? Han shouted as he entered the hangar. From one of the repair pits, an oily, furry head popped out. Calm down, Chewie. There's no need to make such a fuss over a short trip, Han laughed. Turning to Luke, he added, I know what's bothering him. Chewbacca never liked the Noghri. He's hoping he will get a chance to take a swing at them. Don't even think about it, Chewie, Luke warned. There won't be any incidents between you and the Noghri or anyone else, understood? Chewbacca grumbled reluctantly. So, are we ready? Han asked, exchanging glances with his friends. All right, 3PO R2, get aboard the Falcon. The old team was back together on the ship. Luke requested and received clearance for takeoff. With a familiar rumble, the Millennium Falcon lifted off from the dock, ready to embark on another journey. Ooh, okay, that's a lot. I need a quick break. Oh, okay. So, I don't even know what to fully make of this. How long is chapter 4? Oh, chapter 5 is another... Yeah, Thrawn chapter. That's promising. Oh no, it skips. So, another problem with the shitty formatting is... there's like POV changes within chapters, and I have no idea when they start because it's all just shit formatting. Ooh, okay, chapter 4. In one of the smaller council chambers of the former Imperial Palace, Princess Leia and Admiral Akbar sat peacefully. They were, of course, discussing Imperial matters, but the conversation drifted to the twins and even to Leia's Jedi training. They were so engrossed they barely noticed the knock on the door, only looking up when Captain Talon-Karrde entered the room. Forgive the interruption, he apologized, but I need your help with something urgent. What's the matter, Captain? Akbar inquired. It's about my second-in-command, Mara Jade, Karrde explained. She handles the most critical organizational tasks for me, and I desperately need her. I understand there may be concerns due to her past conflicts with Luke Skywalker, but I personally vouch for her reliability. Then perhaps we should ask Luke what he thinks first, Leia suggested. I'm afraid there's no time for that. Mara Jade is already en route, and if my calculations are correct, she will be requesting landing clearance in about an hour. I repeat, I absolutely need her presence, and I guarantee her trustworthiness. Very well, Captain, Akbar nodded. In that case, Mara Jade is welcome. Thank you. Karrde bowed and left, while Akbar moved to the control panel to announce the arrival of their guest. Ooh. I am very curious how Mara is handled in this book. Exactly 1 hour later, a smuggler ship without an identification code requested entry into Coruscant's airspace. Its passenger, Mara Jade. Meanwhile, the Millennium Falcon exited hyperspace, arriving in the Zartun system. Captain Han Solo stretched in his chair, gave Chewbacca a pat on the back, and called out to Luke with a smirk. Hey kid, we've arrived. Stop lounging around and use that force of yours to report what you sense. Luke shot Han an annoyed glance. Han never fully acknowledged the power of the Force, though he was quick to accept its protection when they were in trouble. Han, will you ever drop that arrogance? Why don't you focus on figuring out how to approach the Zartun planet instead? Unbothered by the reprimand, Han continued checking the instruments. Suddenly, a red light blinked on the control panel. Han and Chewie immediately looked up. Incoming ship on the radar, Luke, Han shouted. The radar quickly pinpointed the object. Imperial warship, 3PO announced in his usual monotone. Chewbacca swiftly adjusted the controls and the Falcon accelerated, attempting to evade the rapidly approaching warship. Chewie raised the shields. Hit lightspeed now, or we won't last long. Let's hope there aren't more of them lurking nearby. This feels far too familiar, Luke said grimly. The Falcon shuddered violently. Han rushed to the control panel, but he knew it was too late. They were already caught in a tractor beam. Luke remained calm in his seat, focusing all his energy on the Imperial warship. The tractor beam pulled the Falcon closer, and as it made contact, there was a soft metallic clang. 3PO ran around the ship in a panic. "What should we do, Master Luke?" he cried. "What should we do? Are we doomed?" "Head to the hidden compartment with Chewie and the droids," Han ordered. "I will handle the rest." "You, Chewie, and the droids hide in the compartment. I will take care of the rest," Luke said firmly. The Falcon's airlock doors obediently opened. Luke stood alone at the entrance. His black cloak gave him an imposing, almost fearsome presence. Facing him were green-clad soldiers, and behind them appeared the figure of Borsk Filaya, the rogue Republic counselor. Oh boy, now it's getting good. Filaya's expression flickered with nervousness as he saw Luke's calm demeanor. His green eyes locked onto Luke's face. "Greetings, Skywalker," Filaya shouted, louder than necessary given the distance. "I see you're not surprised to meet me aboard this Imperial ship. Well, know this. I am founding the true Republic. In fact, I already have. I have no need for power, so I have nothing to lose. I will destroy anyone who opposes my Republic." "Bosk Felaya, your Republic is finished," Luke replied coldly. "Ooh. That's the good stuff." Felaya gestured to his men, and within moments, blasters were aimed at Luke. "Destroy him," Felaya shouted, retreating to the hangar entrance to watch the confrontation unfold. Luke's emerald green lightsaber ignited with a snap hiss. The green-clad soldiers opened fire, but Luke deftly deflected their blaster bolts with practiced ease. Meanwhile, reinforcements arrived from the docking bay, fully armed, and they began to fire on the Millennium Falcon. The ship's metal platforms were quickly overrun by Felaya's troops. Han and Chewbacca cautiously emerged from their hiding place, ready to defend their ship. They rushed to the control room and manned the laser turrets. "Chewie on my mark. 1, 2, 3, and—" "Hey, wait a second," Han exclaimed in surprise. "These aren't Imperials, they are Felaya's men." Now the Falcon's turrets fired back at the enemy, targeting the soldiers attacking from above. Luke, meanwhile, fought an extraordinary battle against overwhelming odds. His lightsaber never paused, and, to Felaya's horror, Luke soon cut down the last of his attackers. Felaya, flanked by his remaining bodyguards, fled to the upper levels, heading for the command bridge. Perhaps he believed his authority could protect him from Luke Skywalker's wrath. Yeah, so Luke is pretty angry in this book, apparently. Luke, of course, pursued them like a whirlwind, barely allowing himself time to wipe the sweat from his brow. Up to the command bridge as fast as possible. He couldn't let Felaya spring another trap. At the entrance to the bridge, Luke paused, then cautiously opened the door. Inside, it was pitch black. "Felaya," Luke called softly, igniting his lightsaber. The command bridge was bathed in dark green glow. Felaya stepped out of the shadows. Luke almost admired the Council's bravery, until bodyguards attacked from both sides. Luke had no difficulty handling the double assault. With a single slash, he incapacitated the soldier attacking from the right, then swung toward the other. The second guard dodged the lightsaber's path, baring his teeth in a menacing snarl before disappearing into the darkness. Luke hesitated for a moment. Should he pursue the attacker into the shadows? Using the Force, he scanned the area, but sensed nothing suspicious. There was nothing to detect, because the trap awaiting him on the command bridge was a devilish device no Jedi had ever encountered. A cage of laser beams closed around him. That is something Jedi have never encountered, a cage of laser beams closed around him. I'm thinking of Revenge of the Sith, the scene on the invisible hand when they get captured. I guess that's kind of that. Yeah. Oh, but I'm already losing my voice. I need a co-host next stream for the rest of this. Ooh, okay. A surge of fury overcame Luke, but his Jedi training restrained his despair. For a Jedi, no trap is inescapable. He heard his master's voice in his mind. Around him, silence reigned. Luke quickly calmed himself. He swung his lightsaber at the laser cage, but it was futile. He knew he would soon need the full strength of the Force. He lowered his saber, taking a moment to assess the situation. Well, Skywalker, Leia's voice snapped close to him. Where is your Force now? You're not going to let a few measly laser beams defeat you, are you? You have no power. All you ever did was preach about it. And now it's time to say goodbye. What's the holdup? Leia barked at his soldier. Fire! A bright light flashed. The mercenary raised his weapon toward Luke. Luke closed his eyes, allowing the Force to flood his body. Leia smirked mockingly. Slowly, the mercenary's hand trembled. The T3 blaster lifted, then moved slowly, very slowly, toward the mercenary's own head. The shot echoed through the ship, but it couldn't drown out Leia's blood-curdling scream. Luke just used the Force to make someone commit suicide. Now that's a Jedi. No, Leia wailed, pale with terror, as he drew his blaster to finish the Jedi himself. But Luke was faster. Before the former counselor could raise his weapon, an invisible force grabbed him by the throat and slammed him to the floor. First to his knees, then face down, as the malicious light in his eyes flickered out. Luke noticed the sudden silence. He opened his eyes and marveled at the power of the Force. Now he needed to escape. He thrust out his hand, gathering and channeling the Force through his entire being, preparing to fight the deadly lasers. The Force flowed through every part of him, its energy filling him, guiding him. He felt the energy of the galaxy itself, empowering him to break free. The Last Jedi. When he no longer felt the presence of the lasers, he looked back. Where the cage had been, tangled beams of light flickered. The vision lasted only a moment before the lights whirled back into place, and the cage stood once more, fearsome and formidable. Luke is full on dark side in this already, and there is no explanation. I don't know. This author must have read Heir to the Empire before writing this, right? How do you get this characterization of Luke out of Zahn's first book? But also, I love how, I mean, if we count Heir to the Empire, that was set up at the end, but you have this whole thing about Borsk Leia going rogue and forming his own faction, and you set that up as like a big thing, and now he's already dead. We are, in chapter 4, we are 22 pages in. Good job, I would say. That's certainly a story structure. Kevin J. Anderson would be proud. Ooh, okay, I'm actually losing my voice. I will do chapter 5. How long is it? How long is it? How long is it? Okay, okay. That's manageable. But yeah, this has to be a multi-part stream. I thought, oh, maybe I can knock this out in one go, but holy shit, no, I can't. It does take a bit longer. But hey, at least that's something I can look forward to now. Reading this literary masterpiece that surpasses the usual franchise slop novels. They become Leia's bodyguards until they just disappear early on in Legacy of the Force, if I remember correctly. But yeah, that's about it. Chapter 5. The Salamiri are still thriving in these conditions. It appears we have successfully recreated their necessary environment, Pelion reported to the Admiral. Everything is proceeding according to plan, Thrawn nodded. The experimental phase is over. See to it that the transport of additional Salamiri begins immediately. There can't be a single point in the Imperial fleet that isn't covered by Salamiri. Work quickly, Pelion, for the time may be near when I will need them again. I will see to it at once, sir, Pelion replied before leaving the command center. Thrawn approached the monitor, thoughtfully watching the Imperial ships maneuver around the blue planet. The Empire functioned with precision, and it was on this foundation that Thrawn built his path to victory. He understood the true balance of power. Unbiased and calculating, he knew just how close the Empire was to total galactic domination. But a single misstep could shatter those hopes, endangering their very survival. Rook, Thrawn barked into his communicator. The Noghri appeared almost immediately. At your command, sir, Rook replied, standing rigidly. Thrawn regarded him with disdain. A worm of the galaxy, Thrawn thought, noticing Rook's protruding jaw and sharp teeth, always poised for a bite. And they call these beings sentient. Sure, they can speak basic. Well, they can be taught, but their pronunciation is more like dissonant noise than coherent speech. Hungarian Thrawn is racist. That's awesome. Jesus. How long must I wait for more Noghri? Thrawn snapped at him. The reinforcements have been dispatched, Rook explained hastily, but any delays lie with the organizers, not us. That cannot be, Thrawn thundered. My orders are to be followed. The Empire provides your people with protection, and you would do well to remember that. Sir, the organizers aren't at fault, Rook defended. There have been complications on Zartun. What kind of complications? Speak, Thrawn loomed over him. The rebels, Rook struggled to say the word, visibly trembling. Certain factions are sympathizing with them. Thrawn's skin darkened to a deep blue, and his eyes flared with fiery red as his entire body tensed with barely contained rage. It took him several moments to regain enough control to speak. How is it that your people are turning against us? He asked quietly, a tone so chilling that Rook wished he could flee. Have the rebels been to Zartun? I should know. Your people are loyal, aren't they? I'm afraid not all of them, sir, Rook admitted. As you know, the Noghri are famed for their heightened sense of smell. What of it? Thrawn hissed. During the operation against Leia Organa, one of them got close enough to her to sense who she really was. What do you mean, sense? Thrawn growled. Vader's scent is on her. Vader's skin, Thrawn roared, slamming his fist onto the table with such force that the entire room seemed to shudder. So you're telling me all Leia Organa has to do is parade herself in front of the Noghri and they will grovel at her feet? His voice echoed off the command bridge walls. Unfortunately, yes, sir, Rook admitted. Since those foolish beings discovered who Leia Organa and Luke Skywalker are, they have referred them as gods. And since they lead the rebels... Enough, Thrawn cut him off, glaring at the corner of the room. Leave, Thrawn ordered sharply, and Rook disappeared without another word. Pelion, Thrawn called into the communicator. The captain arrived promptly, but Thrawn's withering glare made him hesitate to even speak. More problems have arisen, Thrawn began, his voice drained of its usual vitality. Pelion braced himself for the worst. Yes, sir, Pelion managed to say. Oh, hey, Douglas. That's what you're missing because you decided to spend time with your wife. One of your worst decisions. That's also a thing. Thrawn pressed a few buttons on the console and the window darkened, plunging the command room into shadow. The holographic image of Zartun appeared on the wall. Thrawn's voice glared up like a ghostly flame. I see everything clearly now. I have tolerated the Noghri's repeated failures to execute my commands, allowing Luke Skywalker and his sister to slip through their grasp time and again, he said, his voice rising. And now they dare to side with them. I won't allow it. Rebellion threatens Zartun, and we must send Imperial forces to crush it. Spare no effort. Sir, if word of this gets out, Pelion started. If word gets out, it will be exactly as I intend. Understand this. We cannot afford to lose the Noghri military units. They are the most skilled mercenaries in the galaxy. But where can I pull forces from? Pelion asked, his stomach knotting with tension. We have no spare units. Then we will have to reorganize the entire operation, Thrawn replied. Think of what would happen if we lost the Noghri. Where would we find another race to replace them? How long would it take to train them to hold a blaster properly? By then, the rebels would sweep the galaxy with the Noghri's help. I agree, Sir, Pelion conceded. We'll need to free up at least 15 units for this operation. If I may, I'll begin immediately. Wait, Thrawn said, eyeing Pelion with an appraising gaze. At times, Thrawn was annoyed by the captain's inability to make independent decisions, but he had to admit that in terms of execution, Pelion was unmatched. Watching the man's simple yet intriguing face, Thrawn was surprised to feel a faint sense of camaraderie. I want you to understand what's at stake here, Thrawn said, stepping closer. You know why the Noghri fight alongside us? It's not out of loyalty. They are too simple to have true convictions. They follow us because they accepted the Empire as the followers of Lord Vader. Vader is the key. As long as Leia Organa and Luke Skywalker are alive, we can't be sure of the Noghri's loyalty. I regret not going to Zartun myself. There was no need for you to go, sir, as long as things were going well, Pelion reassured him. Thank you, Pelion. Once the operations allow, I will need to make rounds to the loyal and neutral planets. Skywalker knew what he was doing. Do you see what he's achieved with a few speeches and some economic aid? They can't even recognize his descendants by skin. This just raises a question I had with the Thrawn trilogy in general, that it's kind of a fuck up in the story to send it for Thrawn to be intelligent, but sending the Noghri after Luke and Leia because he should know that they are Vader's kids. But did he know that was kind of a thing that was never really explained, if I remember correctly? Disgusting, Pelion muttered, leaning away from Thrawn's penetrating gaze. See to it, Captain, and don't hesitate to ask if you need my help, Thrawn said, dismissing him. I also like how there is, Thrawn POV in this book, which, again, that doesn't fit stylistically with Heir to the Empire, but oh well, who cares? At least we got insight that Thrawn felt camaraderie towards Pelion. That's nice. Okay, back with the main characters. Meanwhile, the passengers aboard the Millennium Falcon approached Zartun. The planet of rocks loomed large before them, with massive square mountains rising like giant sculptures. As they passed the moons in search of a landing pad, they noticed that the graphite-colored rocks covered nearly the entire planet. 3PO turned to Luke excitedly. Master Luke, did you ever imagine the Noghri lived in such primitive conditions? Okay, this explains something I was kind of wondering. So yeah, in the Hungarian canon, Zartun is the home planet of the Noghris, not Honogar. Cool. Yes, they told Leia themselves that they live in incredibly harsh environments, Luke replied. We'll have our work cut out for us if this agreement goes through. Suddenly, brilliant yellow light bathed the barren landscape. The moons were reflecting the light of the rising sun. It's morning, Han observed, just as the landing plateau came into view. A primitive world, 3PO remarked in his usual robotic tone. I don't like how quickly you pass judgment, Luke said, giving him a disapproving glance. But Master Luke, 3PO protested, can I help how I was programmed? Oh, 3PO, I didn't mean it that way. Perhaps you just need to refine your phrasing a bit, Luke chuckled at the offended droid. If you are done bickering, we could land now, Han called back from the controls. Luke moved forward to join him. The monitor displayed Zartoon's landing signal. Zartoon planet. The Millennium Falcon requests landing clearance, Han spoke into the comms. Millennium Falcon, permission granted. A green light will guide your ship. He means their only runway, 3PO added snidely. 3PO, you really are insufferable, Han quipped as the Falcon executed its landing maneuver. R2 whistled in his agreement. Okay, R2, Luke smiled. We all see he's right. If they are barbarians, then barbarians they are, 3PO huffed. Okay, Thrawn is racist, 3PO is racist. This is just, yeah. I love it. Both Han and Luke repeated his last words in unison, laughing as they stepped out of the Falcon to check in at the Zartoon docking port. Okay. It's not so bad, Han muttered under his breath. What's that? Luke asked, laughing. Changed your mind? The landing platform extended out into a seemingly endless plateau with a single road leading into the rocky wilderness, but the rocks glittered in the morning light. We should leave Chewbacca behind, Luke mused. I'm not entirely comfortable with Zartoon either. Not a chance, Han objected. You know how much Chewie hates the Noghri. Why don't you extend that famous force of yours and find the way out? I'm afraid this road might lead straight off the edge of a cliff. Luke didn't reply. He was too busy reaching out with the force. Slowly, he probed the planet and was relieved to find no immediate danger. Far at the edge of the plateau, a glass structure glinted. There, Luke pointed. That's our exit. Don't expect me to go into that giant rock, Han grumbled. I hate walking through mountains. When they reached the glass structure, it began to rise from the ground, slowly growing larger. Oops, 3PO muttered. I might have been wrong, but let me just note, this marvel of engineering isn't native to the planet. Enough, Luke snapped. I don't want to hear another word. Only speak if I ask you a question. He turned his attention to the glass pavilion, where several steel-grey cloaked Noghri emerged. The crew of the Falcon approached them, feeling friendliness. Never in their lives had they thought they would be forging an alliance with beings who had tried to kill them multiple times. My name is Kabarak, one of the Noghri stepped forward. I arranged this meeting and I will be your translator. My fellow Noghri here don't understand Galactic Basic. Thank you for the warm welcome, Luke said. After the introductions, they followed their hosts into the glass pavilion, which began to descend toward the settlement at the base of the mountains. The Noghri city wasn't exactly a comforting sight. No matter how hard they tried, the radiant beams of the moons only bathed the barren rocks in light. The visitors could hardly believe that this desolate place was the most protected and livable area on the planet. Yet the Noghri insisted it was. This is how we live, Kabarak gestured around. We carve our homes into the rock as there is no other suitable place due to the harsh weather. They led the delegation into a vast rock tunnel. Please step inside, Kabarak urged Han and Luke. Whew. Inside the tunnel was a spacious chamber where many Noghri waited patiently. As the guests arrived, the Noghri rose and tried to approach them, hoping to touch them or simply look into their eyes. Please say a few words to my people, Kabarak requested, gesturing toward a platform in the center of the crowd. Luke slowly ascended the steps. A strange calm washed over him. He didn't even need the Force to know that he was safe here. Leia's words echoed in his mind. There is no need to fear the Noghri. Noghri, Luke shouted. A few months ago, I didn't even know you existed. When we first met, there was only hatred between us. But now that has changed. I welcome you. Cheers erupted from the crowd. Kabarak, translating Luke's every word, stepped forward beside him. This is Luke Skywalker, our benefactor, the son of Lord Vader. I can feel it. And this is Han Solo, Luke pointed to Han, Leia Organa Solo's husband, my friend, and a loyal captain of the Republic. Han raised his hand to speak. Let me say, his voice boomed, that I welcome you on this great day of peace, and I bring the princess warm regards as well. A man from the crowd stepped onto the platform. His skin was a darker shade of gray than the others. The Noghri approached Luke and, without hesitation, sniffed his neck. It's him, he shouted to his people. I testify. A roar of joy erupted from the crowd. Yep. I mean, I looked a little bit through the entire book yesterday and found some very fun quotes that I am excited to get to eventually. This is Kaniki, Kabarak introduced. That sounds like a swear. I'm just, He is from an ancient ruling family and leads the Noghri Council. Han and Luke exchanged surprised glances. Thank you for the incredible hospitality with which you have received us, Han said. We will now take our leave, Kaniki addressed the crowd. Please return to your tasks. We will notify you when our guests are ready to depart, so you can bid them farewell. The crowd began to disperse, slowly moving toward the exits. Kabarak ushered the guests through another door, leading them into a small council chamber where 12 Noghri were already seated at a table. Luke noticed that these council members wore different clothing adorned with light-colored sashes. To their surprise, no one in the chamber understood Galactic Basic either. I may lose my voice before this is over. Kabarak guided Luke and Han to their assigned seats, while Chewbacca and the droids were seated in a corner of the room. Han was impressed by the Noghri's tactful understanding. Even in this peaceful environment, they would have felt uneasy if they couldn't see their companions, especially Chewbacca, who, despite his friendly demeanor toward the Noghri, made Han uneasy. Finally, Kaniki entered, taking his place among the council members, and the negotiations began. Kaniki formally welcomed the Republic delegation, then asked Luke to explain why they had come. We are pleased that this meeting could finally take place, Luke began. Since its founding, the Republic has worked to unite the people of the galaxy into a great democratic alliance. I thank Kabarak for creating this opportunity. We are also glad that Kabarak found Princess Leia, but it's not you who owe him thanks. We do, Kaniki replied. We knew that Lord Vader had children, but we didn't know one of them was a Jedi. So the Noghri knew that, okay, that's also not really, a thing, okay. We owe Lord Vader our progress as you see it. He developed our military prowess, and it's because of him that our soldiers are renowned throughout the galaxy. Thanks to him, we no longer struggle for survival. At the end of our meeting, we will show you more of our way of life, but for now, please tell us how you envision our shared future. We are entrusting the fate of the Noghri people into your hands. From now on, just give the command and my people will follow. We come with offers, not commands, Captain Han Solo stood up. We would be honored if your warriors fought for the Republic in the future rather than the Empire. If this alliance is forged, your planet will be integrated into the Republic's network immediately. What does that mean? It means every member of the Alliance will have access to the latest technology and resources. You will learn how to use your local environment, how to build cities even under the harshest planetary conditions. Across the Republic, we will spread your immense expertise in training. I would only add one thing, Luke stood up. Our Republic needs your soldiers, but we don't need mercenaries, and we don't need soldiers trained from the age of 4. Luke sat down and Han nodded in agreement. The Noghri began discussing quietly among themselves. It didn't take long before they reached a decision. We accept the Republic's offer, Kaniki declared solemnly. The Noghri will join the princess. The meeting concluded on a friendly note, and the guests were escorted to their quarters. The house where they were staying was one of the rock-carved dwellings the Noghri lived in. There were no stairs, only elevators going up and down from the entrance level. Despite its simple furnishings, the residence was cozy. Whether it was the warm, sparkling light or the pleasant feeling of success, Luke and Han quickly fell into a deep sleep, only waking at sunset. The public announcement of the alliance took place at the same spot where they had been introduced to the Noghri people earlier in the day. This time, the crowd was silent and reverent as the announcement was made. On their faces, Luke noticed a new expression: pride. My people are happy to be freed from the name Mercenaries of the Galaxy, Kaneki said, which we always knew meant the galaxy's killing machines. As you've seen for yourselves, we are a very peaceful people. Perhaps that's why our Lord decided that our soldiers should have no contact with their families. They were only allowed to have families after their 10th combat mission. You can imagine what kind of family that is. Its sole purpose is to produce offspring, as our soldiers constantly travel the galaxy. The next morning, Luke and Han learned more about this military training. The base's buildings served as bait, drawing attention with their colorful facades like a magnet. What Noghri parent wouldn't be thrilled to send their child from the rock dwellings to this base? The base itself spanned a vast area, an impressive sight. Luke and Han were nearly blinded by intense light, and the droid made excited noises while Chewbacca was visibly impressed. Kabarak explained that these were the officers' quarters. The military leaders greeted the Republic delegation with great respect. For them, it was clear where their loyalty should lie. After all, everything they had, the life they led, the work they did, was thanks to Luke's father. They were especially relieved that the Council had insisted on Noghri instructions for their training. If outsiders, Imperial commanders, had controlled the training center, it would have been far more difficult for them to break in. Han's throat tightened when he saw the youngest trainees, especially at how stoically they performed their monotonous drills. I suspected the Noghri were trained like this, Luke sighed, as they concluded their tour. But I didn't realize they started this early. Their conditioning, I mean. No wonder they end up as soulless yet living war machines. This needs to end, and soon. I'm just glad my sister, who's expecting children herself, didn't see this. I think you truly want to create a better world, Kabarak said. A better and brighter one, Han added. A place where everyone wants to live. I agree with Luke Skywalker that serious re-education will be needed before we can integrate Noghri troops into the Republic forces. We will send Republic specialists to assist with this. Oh boy, how fun. Okay, 5 chapters in. The stream is going an hour and 30 minutes. That's good. I'm losing my voice, but this was worth it. We barely 30 pages. So yeah, the book is longer than it would seem with 108 pages. But yeah, a lot has happened in a very short time. Most of it very confusing. And yeah, I mean the whole Borsk for Leia thing was just done with so quickly. Holy shit. So yeah, this is just gonna become like a weekly series, maybe, if I can make it, yeah, I mean already 30 pages now, so yeah, it will take a few parts, but I want to read all of this because there's a lot of very funny stuff yet to come. So far, I would say this author, I mean, first of all, he sucks from a technical standpoint. Again, this is a shitty translation, quick translation, first draft, whatever. But still, stuff like having Thrawn's POV in here, when in Heir to the Empire it was a point that we didn't really get that at all. That's bad. The dialogue, again, it could be the translation, but I mean, still, it's not good. The plot itself, I mean, I get he's just doing his own thing, following Heir to the Empire, but it's so rushed in some aspects, but then this whole Noghri thing and them joining the Republic is kind of stretched out now. Leia already got them to join, and now this whole chapter was just Luke and Han making sure, oh yeah, this alliance is actually happening now. So yeah, I can't wait to see how this continues. The next chapter, we follow Mara Jade. That's gonna be fun. Yeah. So thank you all for watching. I have nothing else to say. This is fascinating. I could have just read this book on my own and made a review, but I judged it by the quotes I found later on in this book that this was just too funny and it should be shared as widely as possible, you know. Um, so yeah, I mean, I hope the PDF of this also spreads around, because if anyone wants to polish this thing a bit more, feel free to do so. I doubt you will get something better out of it, but you know, we already got evil Luke. I mean, the book doesn't really call him out as being evil yet, but we saw what he did, which was very, very crazy stuff. All right, thank you all for watching. See you next time, whenever that is, and I will do a part 2 and how many it takes to finish this amazing novel, the true sequel to Timothy Zahn's Heir to the Empire, Power of the Jedi by Malcolm Webster. What a name. God, I wish the Hungarians had written more Star Wars books, in all honesty. They seem to be well equipped. All right, goodbye, everyone.